If you want to find the odd problems worked out, look in the PEF folder for PEF number 10, and that'll give you the odd answers worked out. But right here, I'll work out all the even answers. Make sure you feel comfortable. So this first one, you can just multiply these together. It's number 2. So multiply, so that's 16x squared. Multiply plus 40x. Multiply plus 6x. Multiply plus 15. So these are like terms, so I can combine them. So on these particular problems, that's a plus. Oops. Sorry, that should have been an x and then plus at the end. Plus 15. Number 4, all you're doing on this one is just going to distribute over the parentheses. So distribute both those spots. So that's going to give me 6. Remember, you add the exponents when multiplying. Minus 15x to the 5th. Okay. Number 6. This is a little goofier one, and I probably won't assign one like this on the test. This negative is going to come down here. It's just going to flow down here. And I know that I have x minus 2 twice, and then I'm going to add 3. So I'm going to multiply these all together. Okay, yes, I do have this plus 3 at the end, but this is what I had multiplied together, so I'm going to distribute this negative to all of these. Notice the signs are changing. And then I have that plus 3. And I'm going to go ahead and combine my like terms now. So negative x squared plus 4x minus 1 is my answer. Number 8, we're going to start factoring these out. So I get x squared minus 3x. Well, what do I have in common between just these two terms? I can just take an x out. So that's a little easier than the ones we've been doing. Then 10, we're going to go ahead and multiply these out, or write these out. So I'm going to multiply, I have a 1 out front. So negative 1 times 4. So I know my signs have to be 1 on each. In order to get a negative number, you have to multiply positive and negative, and the factors are 4, 1 and 4, and 2 and 2. Is there any way that I can make those add up to negative 10? The answer is no on this one, so this just becomes, they call it prime. It won't work out, okay? It doesn't mean that you can't solve the problem later, but right now we're just going to call it prime. Number 12. First thing we have to recognize is I can factor a 2 out of everything. If I factor 2 out of 2x squared, I'm left with x squared. If I factor a 2 out of 14x, I'm left with 7x. Factor a 2 out of 12, I'm left with 6. So remember, I'm going to bring this down, and this is going to be part of my answer. So my answer is going to come down here. I don't know the whole thing yet, but I'm going to factor out this. Remember, I'm going to put a 1 out front. 6 times 1 is positive 6. In order to get a positive number, both signs have to be the same. They both have to be positive or negative. Well, being that that's a positive, they're both positive. So the ways to get to 6 are 1 times 6. Hey, if I add 1 and 6 together, do I get 7? I do, so I'm going to plug 1x and 6x in to our equation. So I'm going to have x squared plus 1x plus 6x plus 6. I have an x in common there, and that leaves me x plus 1. This middle sign comes down. If I factor 6 out, that leaves me x plus 1. Those are the same. That goes in the first set of parentheses. Whatever I have left goes in the other set of parentheses. So this entire thing, including that 2 out front, is part of the answer. Okay, number 14. We're just going to break it down. What do I have in common between those two? I could take a 2 out. And remember, this is x, 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 and this is x, 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 x. So I can take 3 of the x's out, so that's x to the third. If I factor a 2x to the third out of 4x to the third, I'm left with a 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 times x to the third is 4x to the third. If I factor a 2 out of 6, I'm left with 3, but I have that single x left. So there's my answer. Number 16, I get 6x squared minus 17x plus 5. Let's double check. It doesn't look like I can factor a number out of all three terms first. Okay, so I'm going to multiply the last terms first, so I get positive 30. Remember, in order to get a positive number, both signs have to be the same. Well, that's a negative, so they're both negative. So factors of 31 and 30, if I add together, I get negative 31. That's negative 17, not negative 17. What about 2 and 15? If they're both negative and I add them together, do I get negative 17? I sure do. So I'm going to plug in negative 2x and negative 15x right here. Okay, bookends come down, so I get 6x squared coming down, plus 5 coming down. Squeeze this in the middle, so minus 2x minus 15x. Now let's take a look at what we have in common. It looks like I can factor a 2 and an x out of both of those. That's going to leave me 3x minus 1. Middle sign comes down. What can I factor out there? It looks like a 5, so that leaves me a 3x. Because I factored negative out, this sign has to change to a negative 1. Those are the same, so that's your first part of your answer. This is what I have left over, 2x minus 5. That's the second part of your answer. There you go, it's factored. Number 18. So I get 4x squared minus 3x plus 8. Okay, I don't have the same number I could factor out of all three, so I'm just going to factor it like normal. So I'm going to multiply the first and last together. I get positive 32. This sign here is negative, so both signs have to be negative because negative times negative is also positive. Okay, so 1 and 32, that's not going to combine up to get that. I have 2 and 16, that's not going to work. And 4 and 8. None of these are going to work to add up to negative 3. Okay, so this has to be prime. And number 20, the last of the even problems. I have x to the 5th minus 2x to the 4th minus 8x to the 3rd. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I could factor x to the 3rd out of everything. If I factor 3 of the x's out of x to the 5th, I'm left x squared. If I factor 3 of the x's out of negative 2x to the 4th, I'm left negative 2x. If I factor 3 of the x's out of negative 8x to the 3rd, I'm left with this. Okay, remember this is going to be part of the answer, so I'm just going to bring this down. And we're going to factor this, x squared minus 2x minus 8. I got to put a 1 out front, so negative 1 times 8 is negative 8. In order to get a negative number, I know I have to have alternating signs. So I have 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. Do any of those add up to negative 2 when we get there? Yeah, we have a positive 2x and a minus 4x. That's what's going to squeeze in right there. So remember, the ends come down. And realize I'm not bringing the 1 down. I know it's still there. I'm just not going to bring it down. And this is going to squeeze in between the two in whatever order you want. Just make sure the signs go with it. So it looks like I have an x, and that gives me x plus 2. Middle sign comes down. Factor a 4 out, and that leaves me x plus 2. So my answer is x plus 2, because those are the same. Whatever I have left is x minus 4. That entire thing is my answer. Okay, again, remember, the PEF folder has the answers for the odd answers. So look for PEF number 10 and it'll do the odd answers. It's not in this week's folder. Look for the PEF folder. There's a PEF folder, and I believe it's purple on PowerSchool, and we can actually probably bring it up. Let's go here. This is where you can find it. So go into your course, Algebra 1. And we're going to go in the PEF odd answers. And that's where you're going to find your PEF number 10. That one will work for you. Have a great day. Take care of one another. Bye-bye.